Sure gives out dirty advice.
Well, I had one that loved me. I mean, I had one who actually loved me, so, the 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
And she left you.
Yeah, well, no, I just, what can I tell you? I didn't say there wasn't a good reason. I'm just... Anyway, all right, we're just goofing around till today. It's already 3:08 here on the Dorky 106.3. A couple things. A quick update, as you know. I've been messing with the Veterans Administration, and with I never did get my medical records out of Piedmont Hospital. They just make it impossible for you to try to get your own stuff. Sorry. Yes. Anyway, but I did hear from the Veterans Administration. They sent me to one of their stringer organizations, VES Veterans. Something entitled or something in enlistment service, or whatever, to help with the VA. So I have 2 appointments with doctors, one next Wednesday and then one in a couple of weeks, for about stuff that I'm claiming for the Veterans Administration, and we'll see how this goes. I just took an update. And by the way, the lady on the phone today, when I had to confirm, anytime you deal with an agency, all of a sudden, well, you have to go on an app and you have to, confirm the thing and put in the stuff, and I'm going, oh, geez, give me a break. So I finally called the freaking number, and the lady was very nice. Very, very Veterans something Services, VES is called, and she was very sweet and very nice and walked me through it. And of course, I had my ear rocket issues, so she was just really nice. And I wanted to say what a wonderful job she did as the Kimmer goes on his way toward the Veterans Administration nightmare. And I'll know more about that next Wednesday when I go to my first doctor's update. Anyway. Let's see. Okay, stories, and then a couple of more quick updates. A quick thing on the All-Star game last night. We'll do that first off the top, and then you'll hear some sound also. And we'll talk about the former disgraceful lawyer of the King and Spalding. You notice they're not sending out any private. I haven't seen a single press release from King and Spalding saying, "Boy, we're so proud of our Chrissy Ray, the Cossack from Russia, who's the head of the Federal Gestapo investigation, the FGI. Such a wonderful, wonderful former lawyer with King and Spalding. We're so proud of the effort he's." Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a freaking embarrassment. And he did more lying today and more obfuscation today.
Here's the arrogance of it.
It's just, his freaking, his condescending, supercilious, entitled, smarmy freaking look on his face. You want to slap him across the brow. I mean, it's just offensive. And when we're saying, well, aren't you the ones who went to YouTube and Facebook and said that? I says, well, no, I don't. That's not the way it was. Oh, so it wasn't. Oh, okay. I mean, we'll play for it. So, and also the way that even Fox News is trying to give him a break. It's what a crock. We'll talk about that today at length today. More on the Sound of Freedom, the movie. Singer Jewel is now getting right in the middle of it, which I think is pretty interesting. Also, a billion things on the Georgia Bulldogs and the reaction from the Georgia Bulldogs to the articles in the Al Jazeera Constipation over the last several weeks, but especially today, there's like 5 whole huge pages of the issue of the Bulldogs and the Al Jazeera Constipation and the trouble with athletes and cracking down on breaking the law and stuff like that. It's unbelievable. And I basically, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but the gist I get from reading all these things about it is that the Georgia Bulldogs basically say the AJC's freaking lying about them.
That they made up some stuff, maybe they say. I'm telling you what, if they prove that the AJC actually made some stuff up, that paper is over. It's finished.
Well, it's over now anyway. In fact, every morning I go out, by 5:30 in the morning, I'd find they're delivering it early in the morning like they used to anyway, again, which is nice. But again, the paper weighs about 4 ounces. There's nothing in there. There's like 8 pages for the whole thing. And it is going out of business. There no more actual newspaper paper later this year. By the end of the year, it's going to be all digital. You will not have the newspaper in my driveway. I will not be able to put on my coffee and then freaking news and read the paper in the morning like every other American's done for 100 freaking years. I mean, that's all I want. That's all I want, to read the freaking paper, have my coffee, and get set with the day's goings on early in the morning to set my freaking day. And now I got to go on my phone and see if I can scroll to read the news? Give me a break. And I kissed my ass, too, by the way, just for the record. Thank you. In case I forgot to mention it later. Sorry, David. You may not really be used to this.
I love it, man. Keep it going.
3:13 with a Kimmer and Pete, and not Flounder, and yes, not Davis, and David here on 106.3. Look out. Here we go. Look out, 318. It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. Who's this, David? Who you playing there, my friend?
I honestly have no idea.
Aerosmith.
Aerosmith.
I haven't heard this Aerosmith song.
Anyway, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here with great respect and appreciation for David, who's leaving his 680 job after working a full day anyway, and he's over here to fill in for us because Flounder got some food poisoning from sweet Miss Veronica apparently last night at dinner time. So anyway, so he's out of the weather, and I did see him, and he's done better. In fact, his cat tried to escape when I hit the door this morning and picking up stuff on the way in here.
You know what was so funny? He was sending out texts at 6 a.m. as if I was going to read them.
Well, again, if I remember back. In fact, he sent a text. He said, "You talked about my stomach. I've been up all night." And I said, and he said, "So Pete," he said, "So Pete, do you think you could come in today instead of the thing?" And so I wrote back, "He's not up." I said, "Pete Davis, there's no way that Pete Davis is awake at 6 o'clock in the morning." And sure as shooting, several hours later, Pete says, "Oh boy, that must have been really funny this morning, talking about what you're going to do for the show today." Like, because he slept right through like 4 hours worth. Anyway.
Drama.
It is the 12th of July, my daughter Sarah's birthday, my last little girl born. On this day in history, also in 100 BC, on this day, Julius Caesar was born. The month of July was named for him, for Julius.
Turn your phone off.
My phone's on?
Yeah, I just heard it go dink.
Oh, that's right. You just sent me a message. Let's see what it is. Yeah. Should I call in? Yes. All right, then. I don't know what that means.
Flounder, I think, is about to call in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, anytime. 404-741-1230, 741-1230. Let's see. On this date in 1960, and I remember this, the first Etch-a-Sketch went on sale. Cost $2.99, and I'll guarantee you, every kid who got one, like me, did a flight of stairs on the Etch-a-Sketch because that's square down, But again,
you also made walls, and you sent Mighty Mouse flying through the walls.
I used to hate it. I couldn't. I mean, it was the most ridiculous toy, and everybody had one. The guy must have made $1 billion on it. It was a bunch of crap. You couldn't make it work, and if you shook it, it all disappeared. I mean, it was a nightmare. I remember having.
But it taught you hand-eye coordination using both hands at the same time.
It sure did. It sure did. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, let's see. The Kimmer and Pete Flounder's not feeling well, and he may. Hopefully, he's up and awake and probably going back to sleep and take a nap as he should. By the way, a quick update. And again, we're going to play some sound for you here, including Vice President Shiftless and Lazy, America's favorite side piece, coming up, and also Christopher the Cossack Ray, the disgrace of Atlanta. The former suspected torpedo for the Russian oligarchy mob. Never convicted, Chrissy Ray, director of the Federal Gestapo investigation. Pete, you were mentioning the other day, we were talking about the cocaine at the White House, and there was video of Hunter who was mopping his brow and slicking his head back and, looking really kind of active and like a coke addict does when he's looking for more drugs. We saw the video of him at the podium. Excuse me. Also, they showed more. There you go. They showed more video last night of Ashley. And she was running around, jumping around, hugging Daddy and going to Mama and over. I mean, running around the whole that balcony and sweating profusely. And she looked like she was coked up. I don't know. So I like not whatever fine the bottom of it, but. My drug.
Like the worst game of whose line is it anyway?
Exactly. And they know. I mean, come on, give me a break. There's no way that they can't figure this out. Anyway, well, we'll get more about that later. Okay, 404-741-1230 again if you want to join us. All right, a couple things. Quickly, we're going to do the Christopher Ray. You'll hear from Vice President Side Piece in just a second. First of all, the All-Star Game last night. For the record, Pete, did you watch the actual playing of the All-Star Game?
For the second year in a row, I boycotted the All-Star Game. Although, since Manfred the Idiot actually said we have a chance of getting in 2 years, I did watch the highlights.
Well, I tuned in. I wanted to see what they did for the national anthem and also, the pregame ceremony things. I kind of went in case they do something silly or whatever, it was good or bad or whatever. So I tuned in for a good part of that. And two quick things. Well, three quick things, and I'll save the best one for last. First of all, when they did that, when they introduced the players and they had to go, they went through like the gauntlet of the kids, and they had to go back and forth because they wanted to touch all the hands. Whoever that was, it was horrible. It was, you couldn't even watch it. It was so cringeworthy. It was okay. Here we go back and anyway. So I fast forwarded through that. That was a freaking nightmare. But the other thing that killed me in particular was the stinking uniforms.
Yeah, everybody's complaining.
Oh, my God. I even wrote down, I called Pete when I talked to Pete, and I said, even wrote down, oh, my God, they look like workout outfits. I mean, it was horrible. And what was that material? Like some kind of, satiny something, double, it just looked like crap.
One of the cool things growing up, where the Braves would maybe get one player in the 70s and 80s, either Del Murphy or Phil Necro or Horner or somebody like that. We usually got one guy. And to see your guy out there in your uniform, all those multicolored uniforms running around the field, it was an explosion of color. It was exciting. It was fun. And they go to these, it's almost like Mao Zedong designed these colors for this out there. It's boring.
Awful. Well, and now, I mean, whoever heard of the what was it, like a dark green or a green hat, navy jersey, dark gray pants? What the hell? I mean, it was horrible. Soulless, it's been described. Should never use those uniforms again. And they I think it was until just a couple of years ago they used to do it, and they all had the same color hat so you could tell what team they're playing for, but they used to use your uniforms because that's what you want to see on the field.
How many decades did we go just fine with everybody wearing their individual uniform proudly?
Forever.
So this communist style, everybody's got to march in the same little thing.
Well, some of the obvious reaction, it seems, and this, I thought this was the greatest one ever. They should never be used again. Have the players wear the normal uniforms. Now, it seems to be taking so much of the fun away from the annual game. It's hard to tell who each player is, but doesn't stand ideal for the fans watching in the stadium or even on TV. MLB wants to make money by selling those hideous All-Star uniforms. All-Star uniforms are stunningly atrocious. A light green hat, navy jersey, and dark. We should have worn their normal uniforms. Country's truly gone to hell in a handbasket. All-Star game unis are brutal. You let these dudes wear their actual team uniforms that have all-star recognition on them. You don't have to try to continuously try to reinvent the wheel. That's the bottom line. What are they trying to do?
This will show if Manfred is the idiot we think he is, or if this overwhelming negative publicity will make them change for next year. If they're still doing this again next year, they are absolutely clueless.
Run him out of town on a reel. And one more thing about the All-Star game. Then we're going to go to the phones. Special guest on the phones. But one more thing about the All-Star game. One of the things I like to do is I like to see what they do to the national anthem. If it's a single person or whatever, and how they play it and how they sing it, and whether I ever get my wish of having them go up high in the end like the Mormon Tabernacle Stinking Choir with a freaking bucket list. Thank you very much.
Let it go.
All right, I'm letting it go. The second thing is, I love to see the stinking flyover. It's a military thing, military jets, and they do a flyover, and it's very patriotic, and people are up there and and stuff like that. Well, guess what? The idiots who were directing the show last night, and by the way, I didn't like anything about their announcers either, it was just horrible in the pregame stuff. A-Rod, he can, blow me a kiss before he leaves forever. So anyways, I'm watching, and they go up to finally the flyover. You missed it. All they showed was about a half a second of one airline tail go.
How fast do you think those guys are going? Come on.
Time it, Mike. How could you miss the flyover? That's
jets.
The point of it. I mean, then you go there early and wait for it. I mean, who's the idiot who said, oh, damn, we missed the plane, so sorry. I mean, that's the thing. I was going nuts, and so I said that's it, and I didn't watch the game. I turned in once, and I saw Austin Riley knock in a run. I got a single knocking in a run.
There were like 6 good things the Braves did last night, most of them defensively, and it was cool to watch them. Okay, kids, I got to tell you, as someone who grew up a Braves fan, to have almost the entire infield be Braves.
Yeah.
you revel in that.
Never.
You will not see that again.
You'll never see it again. In fact, when they were introducing them, it was 5 abreast walking down that little gauntlet, which was really cool.
5 breasts?
Yeah, 5, I think it's so much. Anyway, to the phones. Oh, my God, it's Flounder here on the Dorky 106.3. Flounder, how you feeling, my friend?
I'm alive. One thing I noticed about the All-Star game is, did you notice when they were on that red carpet introducing the players?
Yeah.
The players had to choose whether to clap the left side of the kids or the right side. It was too far for them to do both.
They had to dodge back and forth. It was cringeworthy. I couldn't stand to watch it. It was just, and it was everyone had to go back and da. And I was like, oh man, who planned this? Again, the choreography was ridiculous. There's no way they should have had them have to make up their decision at the last second when they say, oh my God, what do I do now? I mean, it was like nobody ever planned it.
Why did they make the red carpet that wide?
It's stupid. I mean, nobody said, oh, gee, that's going to be bad when they have to go back and forth because they're embarrassed not to touch every kid. So you can't just go down the middle. I mean, they didn't plan anything. Idiots. That was so bad. Well, Flounder,
Anyways,
I hope you're...
I'm calling to thank Mr. Hollowell for stepping in. Thank you, David. You're killing it. And
You're
I
welcome,
appreciate
buddy. And
David
it's
as
Holloway,
well.
by the way, just saying. Don't be like Buck Blue out there and get my name wrong.
David.
All right, Flounder, hang in there, man. Get some rest, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Be good.
Thanks again, guys. I appreciate all your help.
All right, outstanding. Yeah, it's 3:29, and it's only the Kimmer, Pete, and David, and not Davis, with no Flounder on 106.3. Look out, it's only me. It's only the Kimmer. 334. David's at the board with the controls, and not Davis is back in the back there. The Kimmer and Pete. This is Pete Davis, sidekick producer and sports rec. I think I'm so excited I can't even get it out of the thing.
You forgot my name.
I forgot your name. It's incredible. No, and of course, Flounder's not here. I was going to put that in first, but I got screwed up. Anyway, Flounder has got a little intestinal issue of some kind. Anyway, it's the 12th of July, my daughter Sarah's birthday, and also on this day in 1954, Elvis Presley was 19 years old when he signed a recording contract with Sun Records on this day in wait a minute, I got to put on my things here. 1954, I think I said that. He gave his notice the same day at his job at the Crown Electric Company. Sam Phillips from Sun Records originally wanted to use the 19-year-old Elvis to make demos of songs to be recorded by other artists. But as soon as he got in the recording studio, he said, wait a minute, here's a kid who can bridge the gap between white and black performers, because he grew up really with black music in the black community, gospel type stuff, and he did. Of course, the rest is history. A quick historical note here. A birthday of note. Senator Kristen Sinema from Arizona, who's now, I think, an independent, is 47. Is she the switch hitter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hot.
Yeah. What'd you say the last part there?
She was hot.
Hot. Okay, I missed that. Hot. Let's see. All right, I got it right. Okay, now, again, 404-741-1230. 741-1230 if you feel like calling us, and that'd be nice.
Speaking of hot.
What's that?
I have joined the Unfaithless.
Uh-oh, what'd you do now?
The group that you and Flounder have been preaching as if you're Mormon missionaries for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
What have you been trying to get me to do?
Let's see. Well, I've been trying to get you to watch, the movie with Gregory Peck and Scout.
No, that's never going to happen.
No, it's never going to happen. We're trying to get you to do. Let's see.
You wanted me to buy a product.
Well, now, as soon as you say it, I know I'll go nuts, and I'm trying to remember what we're trying to get you to buy.
Well, yesterday was Prime Day on Amazon, and I was scrolling through it, and for the first time in years, they actually had something that I thought, you know what? I have enough points. I can make this a free purchase. I bought me an air fryer.
You'll love it. Now, by the way, I thought it was stupid and hateful and dummy, and modern, all the kind of memby-pamby stuff. The fact of the matter is, I'll give you an example. Last night, I'm not feeling great all these days, and got home from rush hour traffic and 400, 285, and I'm pissed off, and I'm going. So I get into the kitchen and I said, screw it. And I open up my refrigerator. I take a bag of Rally's special tasty French fries, thin French fries, and I take a bag of Tyson chicken fries, which are little strips of chicken, look like French fries. And I put about 10 of the French fries and 10 of the chicken fries in my air fryer, and I hit 17. I took the chicken out at 10 minutes, and I left the fries in for 17, and I had a great freaking dinner. And I took it out, put it on a plate, put a little ketchup and mayonnaise and stuff on the side, and had a great dinner in like 15 minutes, and I didn't have to do a damn thing except put it on the tray and put it into the air fryer. And it's so easy. I mean, you get spoiled. And again, and I'm happy and satisfied, and I think you'll love it. I'll bet you'll love it.
You two have hounded me like Jehovah's Witnesses at the door to purchase this product, so it better be everything you guys have said.
Well, especially Flounder. I'm a new convert. Yeah. But again, and now the nice thing is that you can't, while it's running, you can hit the little button to turn the light on so you can see how it's doing in there. But the other thing is you can just open the door and it will shut off while you mix the things up or stir them around or whatever. I mean, it's a very easy thing to work, and it goes, then it goes off. And it's off and you're done. Bam, bam, boom. And you have a little tray into there to clean it. It's nothing to it. It's very easy.
Flounder just called us bad words. He says, the one day I'm not there, he gets an air fryer.
I love it. By the way, one other thing about modern times, and you may get a kick out of this. In fact, let me ask you, first let me ask Not Davis. Not Davis, have you ever seen or do you know about the Saturday Evening Post?
I do. Yeah, it's the Norman Rockwell, right? Saturday Evening Post.
Right. So you know about of course, you were a journalism guy and a student at Stanford University, senior coming. So you would know literary type things. So I'm not surprised at that. Now, David, are you? You're not really. You're a fairly young guy. Have you ever heard of the Saturday Evening Post? Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not really familiar with it.
Well, and Pete, what about you? Do you know that? You're probably old enough to remember the Saturday Evening Post, aren't you?
I remember people talking about it.
This is amazing. When I was growing up as a baby boomer, when I was growing up, pretty much every household. Again, this was before color TV and no internet or anything like that. So pretty much every household that I remember growing up as a kid, every household had Saturday Evening Post, Look magazine, Life magazine, and National Geographic. And our house had the same thing. And, of course, Saturday Evening Post was famous for its Norman Rockwell covers and art supplies. And, again, I've told you I had a friend in Boy Scouts who was one of his models for one of the Saturday Evening Boy Scout covers because I lived right near Norman Rockwell growing up as a kid. I know his house. I've got one of his signed paintings and stuff. Anyway, well, I just got a thing in the mail, and it said, for Kim Peterson use only, Saturday Evening Post, a special rate of $12 for a year.
They're still around?
Yeah, it's back. It's back. And I get a 2024 Norman Rockwell calendar for $12 for a whole year of Saturday Evening Post. And it's got, I just love seeing these old cover photos and stuff. I'm really excited about it. I really can't wait.
I think you should take it. Now, if the offer for Blue Boy comes up, I would reject that.
I'm not even sure what that means. But again, I'm going to get the Saturday Evening Post. I'm pretty excited about it. All right, 3:40 now. David, if you would, let's get a soundbite of Christopher the Cossack Ray, the disgrace of Atlanta. I think he's probably a former Russian hitman or a Russian stooge or a sleeper unit. Well, he's never convicted. Anyway, he was grilled in the House today, and a lot of members of the House did exactly the right thing. All the Democrats all claimed, well, this investigation is just a way to help Donald Trump get reelected again. I'm sorry, I'm turning off my phone thing. Chrissy the Cossack testified once again with his smarmy attitude at the House today. And let's play a little soundbite here of a part of what happened at the hearing, and then we'll talk some more about it here in a second. David, if you would.
How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure. Actually, that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's findings on that.
The internet will remind you of that in moments. But let's now go to what the court said. The court said it was over 200,000 that have occurred on your watch. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment?
Again, I don't have the numbers as I sit here right now. What I can
Seems like a number you should know. How many times the FBI is breaking the law under your watch?
Again, if you saw, I watched as much as I could, Bob, while I was getting ready to come into the show today, and I'm, the look on his face, the smarmy, pretentious, supercilious, just like he, smelled a fart in church when somebody asked him a tough question, and they said, for example, I think it was Matt Gaetz said, "Are you protecting the Biden family?" He said, "Absolutely not protecting the Biden family." He refused to answer questions about whether Biden's under federal investigation. He talked about all the good work of the FBI. I love it. He says, "Well, we've arrested 30,000 people and 700,000 people." So you're bragging about them doing their job? That's your freaking job. Yeah, we're bragging about doing our job. Oh, you give me a break.
On Clay and Buck earlier, they pointed this out, the one that just knocked me out of my chair. The arrogance of this guy.
Yeah.
The federal judge on July 4th said this is the most egregious attack on the First Amendment she had ever seen. Mm-hmm. And the FBI director, whose organization she pointed out doing it, yeah, said, "I haven't read the reading."
Yeah, you didn't read it. He asked him, did you read it? No, I didn't read it. Yeah. I mean, it's oh, by the way, he also said, for example, he said, "Oh, well, when we went to get Donald Trump's documents at Mar-a-Lago, that was not a raid. That was not a raid? My God, they had guys that went at 5 o'clock in the morning. They had people on ships in the freaking Gulf of Biscayne or whatever the hell you call it to make sure that, the cook didn't try to sneak off in a freaking rowboat. And then they had flyboys. They had snipers on roofs. They had people in helicopters. What do you mean it wasn't a raid, you dirty, stinking, lying, chicken-livered coward? God, Chrissy the Cossack Ray. What a disgrace for Atlanta. What a disgrace for King and Spalding. What a disgrace for America. The fix is in, you dirty freaking liar. God, I wanted to wipe the smarmy little smack off his face, too. I mean, just look at the video and so look at him when he goes, when they ask him a tough question. Dirty freaking liar. He lied about all of it. Well, we've done a great job. The men and women are great. I love you, FBI agents. And by the way, last night I'm going to my car up in the 4th floor of the parking lot, and I see this guy in a blue suit and wingtips, and a crew cut was approaching the back of my car, and I said, "Hey, you!" And he goes, "Oh!" And he ran off, and I swear to God, I think I heard him. I think I heard him say, "Sorry, Kimmer, it was following orders." And so, "Sorry, Kimmer." Yeah, well, Blackbriar, you bastard, come and get me, FBI. What a freaking disgrace. We're on to you. The fix is in. Sorry, it's 4:15. I'm fine now. I feel like 4:15. Here we go. Sorry. Look out, it's only me, it's only the Kimmer. 349, how's it going? With Pete Davis, Flounder is on the throne for the day.
On it or kneeling in front of it?
Yes, apparently. And
driving the porcelain bus.
And David's filling in on the at the board with our control action here. And, of course, not Davis's Spectre, too. So we're having a show right up till 6 o'clock and having some fun. You're going to hear Vice President Shiftless and Lazy here in a second. Also more on the president. A couple things here on the birthday list while we get going on your Wednesday afternoon. Christy Yamaguchi, birthday today, 52. Olympic gold medalist and also a winner of Dancing with the Stars with a guy named Mark Ballas in their 6th season. Christy Yamaguchi's 52 years old. Richard Simmons is still alive. I keep thinking he died for some reason. Richard Simmons, the fitness guru and entertainer? Is he a celebrity? Is he still around? He's 75. Is he doing anything? I haven't seen her.
He's a recluse. He's just very private. Very private.
You know, in fact, when you said that, I kind of remember something about people weren't they worried about him? Maybe you thought something had happened and went to check on him or something, I think, in the back of my memory. I don't know. Anyway, all right, he's got birthday. Richard is 75, so there you go. Okay, a quick recap, a quick thing on the Ray thing, and then we're going to talk about president and vice presidential side piece. The phony federal Gestapo investigation director, Chrissy DeCossack, says that we're doing good work at the FBI, and he blasted claims that he's biased against conservatives as insane. Really? All the evidence we've had, and you think it's insane to say you're biased against conservatives, okay? Well, Jim Jordan, the chairman from Ohio, said, now, wait a second, you're still weaponizing the government against the American people, and he slammed the double standard that exists in our justice system. Matt Gaetz pointed out to Matt Gaetz, we saw him earlier today, about the whistleblower, who said the years-long Hunter Biden probe to protect the president and the kid referred to the WhatsApp message saying the energy guy was sitting here with my dad, and Chrissy Ray Gaetz says, you don't seem deeply curious about this. You're deeply uncurious. It's suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens? And he said, absolutely not. The FBI has no interest. I thought I was going to lose it right there. I mean, the nerve. I mean, just the absolute nerve. Anyway, well, we'll talk more about that later. Now, President White Trash was at the NATO meeting, and he skipped another dinner. I guess he's had such a full 4-hour workday that they had him needing to rest up, or he missed his Jell-O or something, or maybe Judge Wapner reruns were on. But he skipped the meeting last night of the NATO dinner with all the world leaders because he has had 4 full workdays. Oh, he's had 4 workdays in a row? Oh, my God. Pete, have you ever had 4 workdays in a row? Have you ever had to
well, I'm in radio, so I can't really say I've ever worked.
Jeez, I mean, I work more in one day. I work 13 hours a day total.
So basically, you sit in front of the television and you write notes down. You're not digging ditches. Come on.
Well, it's a little more than that, but it's still actively using my mind from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Working and getting exhausted.
I'm working here.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Had 4 days in a row. Oh, my God. And this is the 3rd time that this president erector said has skipped a dinner with world leaders on an international trip. He's a laughing stock. You said they're still making fun of him for being led around by King Charlie by the hand as though he didn't know where he was going. Fox News says if the president's skipping because he had 4 days of official business, why was he on the beach Saturday, just sitting there like an idiot? He was in the midst of a full 4 days of official business and back to summit meetings and a major speech ahead of him. Ooh, he had a major speech ahead of him. Well, maybe he should have left it to his number 2. Yes, America's next president, ladies and gentlemen. Carmela Sidepiece, America's favorite consort. Once again, we have 2 sound bites we'll play for you now. David has them at the ready. Here is your vice president, who's going to be the next president of the United States if they have their way with the Democrat Party, talking about the importance of transportation and what it means.
And I again want to thank the Secretary for your work. This issue of transportation is fundamentally about just making sure that people have the ability to get where they need to go. It's that basic.
It's that basic.
What kind of work is she thanking Pete for? I mean, that's the other question I have. He doesn't do anything.
I don't get it. I mean, it's just like they're making up. Plus, doesn't somebody realize that she makes a fool of herself every time she gives a comment? And I mean, I can't. Here's the other one. She pulled off another. Do we have the number 2 there today, David, if you will, also, please?
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
It's not true.
This is unbelievable.
That's a computer she's talking about. AI is a totally different animal. You give it information, and then it starts using that to do its own stuff.
Again, wasn't she put in charge of the AI program for America?
We're screwed.
She was put in charge of she was the border czar. Never did anything. Wanted to do the root causes. Root causes are the people wanted a better life. End of root causes. Now we have your explanation. So that was a freaking joke for the last 3 years.
Today's speech is brought to you by the letters A
and then she says, well, first of all, it's 2 letters. And it stands for, oh, God. I mean, it's just, I literally can't believe it.
She just learned that before she did the speech. You know what this stands for, right? Yeah, AI.
Literally sounds like a high school football player who never studied for his history report, and he's like,
it's an 8th grader
trying to make it up on the fly.
Yeah, had to give a speech in front of class and forgot to look up the information. I mean, it's amazing. Some of the reactions of commentators. Carmela gives a voice to the thought, and then this nonsense comes out. She can't be serious. Fundamentally, it couldn't be said that transportation's about transporting people from one area of transport to another area of transport. Radio host, she's a national treasure. She solved the issue. She's a genius. She has a way with words, all right. I mean, literally can't believe it.
She doesn't understand how it works. I mean, literally in Washington State, doctors have taken the same AI that just put a different kind of coat on the Pope, making him look like he's a rapper. They took that same AI program and set it toward making new proteins that they've never put together. 1 billion years of evolution has never done. They did this in a matter of weeks or months, and it's making molecules and proteins that can fix diseases. It did it on its own. We didn't do that. She has no clue what she's talking about.
I know. It's unbelievable. In fact, you want to do a little quick AI thing here?
I just did.
Well, I mean, as in terms of an actual segment, because I got a minute or so before the thing, and there's a story here about this, which is, and it deals with babies. AI, babies, and technology might help fertility doctors make better decisions on which embryos to implant. That's our official Skynet theme. Well done, David. The fertility treatment is responsible for between 1% and 2% of all births in the country. It's expensive, $12,000 or $15,000 every time you go. Reproductive technology based in Tel Aviv is trying to improve the odds with AI. It's an embryo evaluation software to process vast amounts of data beyond what the human eye can detect to simplify the embryo selection process. One woman embryologist says it's a great development, but it's not good enough. Success rates are about 25% in all age groups, which means only 1 in 5 actually becomes pregnant. But more women are freezing their eggs to delay childbirth and focus on careers, which means the demand for in vitro fertilization is growing, but there's not much supply. So AI, as opposed to human clinicians who have been tasked with making the choice on their own, if you're an embryologist looking at embryos in a hectic lab environment, you have to decide which one has the best potential to become a baby. Maybe 8 or 10 embryos all look the same. But with this new AI software, it helps the clinician by evaluating embryos and applying its advanced algorithm to determine the best candidates for a successful pregnancy. Correlates different outcomes, genetic abnormalities, implantation, or gender that can't be seen with a human eye. Without AI, said the director, clinicians would have to rely on the appearance of the embryo to determine its quality. That's based on subjective human analysis that doesn't really quantify the actual chance of getting pregnant. And AI may help a woman have a baby. And as long as they don't start determining how they want her to have the baby, whether they want to change the eye color or the gender or something like that, again, that's the next step. If AI can help you determine which embryo, who's to say AI is going to pick that one because they want it to come out different? 3:20. It's 4 o'clock. Holy moly, it's 4 o'clock. I can't believe it. 1 hour's already gone, boys. We'll be back. Look out. Look out, it's only me, it's only the Kimmer. 403, how's it going? With Pete Davis. Flounders off today, had a little porcelain bowl meeting for the entire evening and today.
Meeting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, the Oval Office. But David, our 680 friend, is filling in on the board here, and Not Davis is back there too. As we continue on right till 6 o'clock. A musical note on this date, 2008. I remember this story. Rolling Stone Ronnie Wood was married to his wife for 23 years. 61-year-old Ronnie Wood, dad of 4, was out drinking with the boys and ran into a bartender who kind of took his fancy. and he decided to take her away to his luxury pad in Ireland and move in with her. She was an 18-year-old Russian cocktail waitress, and he left his wife of 23 years for her. So, hey, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. The hideous Bill Cosby, mass rapist, is 86 years old today. Coincidentally,
allegedly,
that's the number of women who have filed sexual assault cases against the rapist.
Allegedly.
Turns 86. Everybody raise your glass and then hold it up to see if there's anything in it. By the way, 86 years. How he was not killed in prison is beyond me, but, anyway, he somehow stayed alive. Anyway, if you just joined us, it's 4:04, and we're just having a little fun here on 106.3. If you want to call us, we always enjoy phone calls. 404-741-1230, 741-1230.
Hey, speaking of getting sick after you eat something like flounder, some very good news for old-time Atlanta. The Majestic Diner on Ponce has signed a new lease for many years, so that is a very good thing. The food is, but it doesn't matter. You're there at 4 a.m., and the chef is coming out throwing firecrackers in the middle of Ponce de Leon. It's an experience you have to go to at 4 in the morning, and I'm glad the Majestic is still going to be around.
Well, that is good news. In fact, I don't even think I've driven by there in decades. I'll bet you.
Well, going to Manuals every now and then. Yeah, it's right down from Manuals. And the Plaza Drugs is gone, but we still have the movie theater, which is cool because that's still there. Yeah. So it's a good part of the neighborhood.
Isn't it funny how things have changed in the parts of old Atlanta that, well, anyway, that's life, that's what happens. Well, I'm glad they're sticking around. Singer Jewel is now raising the praise to the Sound of Freedom movie, bashing the media that's politicizing the film. Elon Musk recommended the film be put on social media platforms, and Jewel, the singer, said, "You know what? I saw Sound of Freedom. You have to see it. I'm so verklempt. Some friends of mine made this movie. It's been years of being in production. It's the most inspiring film." She asks her viewers, Jewel says, "Did you know that there are millions in slavery? This is the fastest growing criminal enterprise, and the amount of children enslaved right now is greater than all 300 years of the transatlantic slave trade. What the actual F? This is a true story about a man who just doesn't give up on a child. It's so touching. You gotta love it. Please go see it," she says. "This is the little indie movie that could. It's competing with all the giant blockbusters. It's kicking butt and deserves it." Jewel concluded saying, "Go see this to have your heart filled. Love you guys. Take care of your babies." And she criticized mainstream media. "It saddens me that some media is trying to politicize this movie. It's not left or right. It's about millions of kids being trafficked. No matter what your faith or creed, we need to protect all the vulnerable kids rather than fight over philosophical differences." Jim Caviezel, the actor, plays a former U.S. Department of Homeland Security guy, quit his job to rescue kids from an international sex ring. Of course, the left says, "Well, it's just you Republicans with your QAnon. He's just raising more QAnon stuff." And I don't even know what that means.
Did you see where Jim Caviezel said a few years ago when he first started talking about adrenochrome that his agents dropped him and his lawyers dropped him immediately?
Really? No, I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And by the way, this adrenochrome is this business with a child bloodstream drug in a children's blood thing to...
They scare the hell out of them, and it pumps the adrenaline through their blood, and that's what they're looking for.
I'm so out of the loop on
that's a loop you don't want to be part of.
Oh my God. Anyway, all right, 407 here with a Kimmer and Pete, and no Flounder, but we have Non Davis and David filling in here on the board. A couple quick things on the Braves. Again, I didn't watch the All-Star game last night. I watched like 8 seconds of it or something. That was pretty much it. But there's a huge... a controversy going on right now between UGA, especially the football team, and the Al Jazeera Constipation. And it's getting bigger and bigger. First of all, it was an interesting picture in the paper today about starting pitcher Spencer Strider, who's having a great year, is already setting records like crazy, even a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a great change and curve, whatever. Anyway, they were asking, people want to know about his mustache. And he says, for the record, it's just a thing. When people show up at the stands, they tend to wear those fake mustaches when he's pitching and stuff, which is kind of cool. But the media asked about it before the All-Star game, and he said, I shave. I don't shave every day. I just kind of shave when the urge strikes me. It's kind of a little routine. It's not a big deal. I don't manicure it. It just kind of sits on my face. That was his attitude about his mustaches. And if I had if I had great facial hair like that, I'd grow one like that too. But I don't. My hair's not dark enough to be. You have to have really good thick hair mustache in order to get away with that kind of stuff. Now, okay, Pete Davis.
Present.
Thank you so much. UGA and Georgia coach Kirby Smart says he has never condoned sexual misconduct by his players. We take these allegations extremely seriously. We do not tolerate sexual misconduct in our organization, never have, never will. Now, there's like 5 pages of news today of the Al Jazeera constipation complaining about all the crime has been committed by Georgia football players and how nothing has ever happened. And basically, as I understand it, UGA is now, the football team in particular, but UGA is saying, now, wait a minute, you're either lying about us, or they're challenging the reporting and the aftermath of that big car crash in January that killed the recruiting analyst and one of the players. Remember that horrible case? And the university's general counsel, Michael Raber, has now criticized the accuracy of a June 27th article detailing the way the football program responded to the players being accused of abusing women. The reporting on the aspects of the team crash resulted in one player, football staff member, street racing, a series of investigative reports, and the team's lawyer saying, "You're getting this wrong, and if you're doing this on purpose, if you're lying about it, we're coming after you, and we're not going to let this go." Pete, can you make sense of what's going on there and kind of put some perspective on this thing at all?
Well, it's interesting because for decades, Georgia Tech fans have thought that AJC has bent over backwards to always cover the Georgia Bulldogs and give them great coverage, okay?
Yeah.
Well, now the AJC, which is a dying entity, is now going after Georgia right now at the height of their powers. 2 straight national championships, Kirby Smart, the best coach in the land, and all of a sudden the AJC has got a hard-on for him and is going after him. Now, some of the stuff, the critique is right. There's an out-of-control speeding and drunk driving problem over there that they got to get a hold on. Yeah. But for the UGA people to come out and call the AJC misleading and irresponsible, replete with errors, unsubstantiated allegations, innuendo, and possibly even fabrications, if they can prove that, it is the end of not only the AJC sports page, but of the AJC.
Yeah. Well, they aren't really covering that part of it very well in their coverage of the stories about the charges against them for how they've taken care of this entirely. So obviously the people who are trying to read this stuff are not getting the full picture.
And most of the people that read that newspaper are Georgia fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that doesn't mean that the paper shouldn't do its job and go after them. I'm just saying if they catch them fabricating stuff, and God knows we've caught the New York Times making stuff up.
Yeah.
It's a journalist these days. Sorry, not Davis, but I'm sorry. Journalism these days is dead.
Yeah. Well, and again, if this is deliberate. I
to get some attention because they know they're dying. If they're doing this to grab attention, because we found journalists making stuff up all the time.
Yeah. Well, they do. In fact, to kind of prove their point at the Al Jazeera constipation, they come out with a whole list of the speeding bulldogs, they call them. And there were 12 guys, 12 football players, and they cite what they were speeded for, or what they were speeding, where they were speeding, and how much over the zone they were going. 71 and a 40, 90 and a 45, 60 and a 50, too fast for conditions, 95 and a 60, and it goes on and on and on. Again, trying to just blast and belittle the entire program, even though Smart has said, for example, there was one player arrested for rape and he got discharged immediately. And they say, well, there's some other guys who didn't. I mean, it's just going back and forth and back and forth. And I don't really understand too much about it. But anyway, all right, well, screw that stuff. All right, hold everything. No, I'm just tired of that. We got so much more Holy Crap of Sports, and we got various things and more sound bites, and it's all covered up with the Kim, Pete, No Flounder, David, and Non-Davis on 106.3. It's 4:13. Here we go. Look out. It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. 419 on 106.3 with Pete Davis. And David at the controls. Flounders got a little tummy cowabunga going on here today. And David is very graciously filling in for him, our 680 friend. And also, not Davis in the back is back there as well. Christine McVie would have been 80 years old today. She passed away not long ago. Fleetwood Mac, Landslide, Go Your Own Way, Dreams, The Chain, Rhiannon, Don't Stop. Christine McVie would have been 80 on this day. Kind of a shame. Pete, when Holy Crap at Sports in the next hour, are you going to mention anything about what happened on this day in Chicago?
Would that be Mr. Blouser?
No. It'll be
okay.
So I can mention it?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't want to do something that you would have in sports.
No, you never do that.
No, I would never do that.
Shock.
On purpose. This day in 1979, the Chicago White Sox hosted the infamous Disco Demolition Night. It was between games of a doubleheader at Comiskey Park, 1979. Fans got into the game for 98 cents if they brought a disco record. Well, radio legend Steve Dahl, a disc jockey on Chicago's classic rock station WLUP, The Loop. Steve Dahl left 7,000 fans. He left, and 7,000 fans charged the field. They had a bonfire, and they threw all the disco records on the bonfire. He took off. 7,000 fans charged the field and kept throwing and burning even more records. There was such chaos, they had to, even the second game of the doubleheader had to be canceled, and the White Sox forfeited the game because of it. It was a complete riot, and if you haven't seen the video, I mean, it was just outrageous to kill disco, and it sort of worked. I don't know. Anyway, 404-741-1230 if you'd like to join us here on the old actual Cowabunga program. A couple of things. Explain to me, I don't understand this. Donald Trump lost a lawsuit against a woman who claimed that he raped her. He wasn't convicted of rape. He was convicted of something different, slander and other things like that. But here's the other thing. The Department of Justice is now saying they're ruling legally that Donald Trump can be held liable for the comments he made about the woman who accused him of raping her. Donald Trump said, the woman's nuts. She's a nutbag. I don't even know her. I mean, I don't know what she's talking about. I didn't rape her. She's crazy. And because of he denied it, she's suing him for libel and slander. And she's going to get away with it. The DOJ originally said, well, because he was a presidential thing and he was a official capacity, you can't da-da-da-da. Now they've changed their mind, and they're saying that as far as the government's concerned, they say, well, you can go ahead and sue him. No big thing. She's made claims that he defamed her again, comments on CNN a day after the verdict was released. And so her lawyer is saying it's one of the last obstacles to lawsuit-reaching trial, so it looks like Trump's going to be screwed again. But this is unbelievable. There's never been a person in history who has been the object of so many legal and illegal attacks for pretty much every day for 6 years.
Well, you know why they're doing it. They're doing it because most of them are liberals or Democrats or leftists or Marxists, and they're doing it because they're afraid of him.
They want to make sure that if he's convicted, he can't run for president, so they're trying to get him convicted of something before the election. And again, he's trying to get the major lawsuits, or not lawsuits, the crime cases against him postponed until after the election. So it's conceivable that he could win the election, be convicted of a felony, and then give himself a pass. He could pardon himself, which would be hysterical. I mean, this political, for the last 6 years, this political season is unlike any other, and probably will be like any other.
He'll stand in front of a mirror and go, I absolve you of all crimes, you handsome man.
Oh, this is going to be great. 423 on 106.3 with the Kimmer Pete. No Flounder today, but back tomorrow, hopefully. And again, tomorrow, remember, we're going to be live doing the show 3 to 6 at Top Golf in Alpharetta. It's part of a small business thing where they get together with small businesses, and you can go see small businesses if you like it. So
hey, by the way, we've heard from Flounder.
Yeah.
Why haven't we heard from the culprit that poisoned him?
Well, Miss Veronica, I don't know whether he was smothering her. Maybe I gave him too much advice on hugging her too long, and she's trying to give him a hint. Hey, leave me alone for a weekend or so. I don't know. I'm hoping everything's fine. I would hate to be the spoiler of something sweet.
He's probably at Lake Burton again today, just enjoying a day off.
No, I doubt that. I don't think he's going to go anywhere without her.
No, I'm saying they're there together.
Oh, together? Well, that's possible. Yeah, he didn't look that sick when I showed up at his house at 11:30 getting my stuff ready to take it to work.
Did you hear, honey? Is that someone's at the door?
No, shh, quiet. That's what everybody...
Stump.
Yeah, shh. Ixnay and the octane. Have you heard about Tim Burchett, the congressman from Tennessee on the House Oversight Committee, involved in UFO hearings, and now says extraterrestrial life forms will have technology that we cannot handle as humans, and if they're out there, and if they have this kind of technology, then they could turn us into charcoal briquettes. If they can travel light years or at the speeds we've seen in physics as we know it underwater, don't show any heat trail, stuff like that, we are vastly out of our league. We can't handle it. We couldn't fight them off if we wanted to. That's why I don't think they're such a threat to us, or they would already have been a threat to us and already taken care of us. Whistleblowers have claimed the government actually has a secret UFO retrieval program, which includes actual creatures and vessels. And a spokesman for the Department of Defense says, no, it's a lie. We don't have anything like that at all. Oh, I believe you, ma'am. I really do. I truly
You think this Tim guy is a plant from the aliens to try and soften us up? Like, you can't beat us. Don't even try.
Well, we can't beat them. I mean, think about it. The reason I don't understand why they're keeping it such a secret is because is there anybody who really doesn't believe that we've been visited by other space creatures? I mean,
interdimensional beings.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know how to define it. An otherworldly visit. I don't know what to call it. But clearly, it's been happening, and it's been happening probably for thousands of years. But again, if we know that they're that technologically advanced to get here and be among us, clearly they have the means to destroy us immediately, and if they had wanted to, they would have done it. So what are we afraid of? Why don't you give the truth out and say, okay, they're here they are, we know they're, in fact, the guy over there, we think he's one of them over there, we think the guy, the mayor of Ohio is a major city of...
Zuckerberg.
Is a monster, is an out of thing. I mean, why not just admit it? There's nothing we can do about it.
Well, I think they're embarrassed because it'll hurt our self-esteem to realize that we are the universe's zoo.
Well, that's very possible. Anyway, I don't know. I don't get any of this stuff. There's a new Bud Light ad out, and that's, again, getting mocked. I mean, this is incredible. By the way, I've never heard of... They're doing a meme on a popular meme of a dog who sips coffee while his house gets up in flames.
Yeah,
have you seen it?
Yeah, it says, this is fine, no matter what's going on. It's a disaster, basically. He's going, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, well, here's the new Bud Light ad. Shows a woman spooning large chunks of watermelon into her luscious mouth as a powerful storm flings plates and napkins all over the place. Other attendees duck for cover, run from the wind. The woman remains unbothered by the surrounding chaos and says, Bud Light caption says, it's fine, this is fine. Mimicking the meme of a dog stoically sipping the coffee. What Bud Light staffers must feel like days after the brand slipped out of America's top 10 beer list. Holy cow, weren't they number one?
Yes. They're number 10 with an anchor.
Oh, my God. Falling fast. Do not buy. Oh, my God. Reactions to the new ad of the woman saying, oh, it's fine. We're getting an inside look at Bud's corporate office after talking with representatives saying, oh, it's fine. This is fine. Probably like your marketing team after Dylan Mulvaney chimed in. Another says, well, this is kind of work for the beer brand. Get another job before they fire every one of you. Yeah, it's fine, my butt. It's so much fun watching Bud Light get dragged in every ad, but they still won't abandon the woke nonsense. Keep after them, boys. Well, a day later, Bud Light's official Twitter account posted again, this time with a GIF of somebody opening a Bud Light can alongside the caption, the best beer is an open beer. And one guy said, no, based on your declining sales and share, the best beer is literally anything else. 429, hold everything. Kim, Pete, No Flounder, David, and not David, standing by. We already got 4:30 stuff coming up. Look out. You're coming up on 4:30 here on the 106.3 thing there. By the way, I've got a couple of appointments with the Veterans Administration doctor people to do stuff, and I still don't have my medical records from Piedmont Hospital, and the reason is because it's hard to get them, and I don't know where they are, and I wish I'd had my Atlanta Safe House connection when I moved down to Florida. I bought 2 Atlanta Safe House safes, both, I think one was a Brown and the other I think was American Security. Atlanta Safe House has the safe you need, and if you don't think you need a safe, trust me, you do need a safe. For one thing, my medical records. Now, the 2 safes I had were all the other things I was taking care of. One, they actually bolted into the floor of my garage. The other one bolted down to the game room, right into the concrete. And incidentally, Atlanta Safe House is the #1 professional delivery and installation delivery crew in Georgia. They'll do it any way you want it. Put it in walls or ceilings or floors or hidden or whatever way you want to do it. Again, if I'd kept my medical records, if I'd had an Atlanta Safe House down there, I wouldn't have had to anyway, whatever. Trust me. And for example, don't keep your Social Security card in your wallet. Keep it in your safe. Don't keep it in your wallet. I lost one that way many, many, many years ago. Atlanta Safe House has the answer. They have safes to take care of gun safes. They have jewelry safes, business safes, high security safes, vault doors, the big red safe. Ask about all of it. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Great deals. And in fact, if you're, for example, a new gun owner, or maybe your wife or husband's a little nervous about that, get yourself a gun safe. Everybody's safe. Everybody's happy. Security and safety. Unlike what's going on with our government, if you want to feel safe, do what the Kimmer does with Atlanta Safe House. You get them easily. Go to atlantasafehouse.com. All right, 4:34. How's it going? It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. With Pete Davis. Flounders off today. A little tummy bing bang. David's here, though, from his 680 The Fan, our buddies. And not Davis is in the back there somewhere, too. If you'd like to join us, hop on YouTube if you feel like it. Or the phone number is 404-741-1230. What's that chuckling? Is that about the...
We got some feedback here from... It's a gentleman by the name of Flounder, I believe.
The Floundernator, all right, sir.
Says, upbeat show sounds really good other than the you a-holes reminding the listeners that I'm sitting on the porcelain all day.
Well, how do you think we feel? Anyway, 404-741-1230, 741-1230, if you care to join us. A quick update. Pete, I mentioned before that I tried to do everything right with my money. Economically, I tried to financial investments. I did everything right, and because of what was going on with everything, I ended up pretty much getting screwed. But I did make one right move. Back when I retired, I got fired actually, and so I retired in 2007 or whatever it was before I came back to work in 2013. I bought a couple of a vacation property up north and one down the south. The one up north, I used a credit union, Greylock Federal Credit Union, and I had to join it. I only had to pay $5 to join it in order to get the loan for the house or the mortgage, stuff like that. So I figured, well, I'm doing the right thing. So I kept, and I'm trying to be smart, I kept that initial entry and still am a member of that credit union for the last 15 years. And I now have, they're doing the right thing to keep that money in there. My balance now is a total of $9.97. Boy, I damn near doubled my money in 15 years.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing how the Kimmer's financial planning really...
You know what's also amazing?
What's that?
You bring up us getting fired from that legacy radio station that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I just realized today, I'm sitting out on the porch swing waiting for the guy to show up because my water pump blew up this morning.
Oh, boy.
And I'm sitting on the swing, and I realized that I have now been gone the exact amount of time I was there, 17 years.
Oh, my...
Which is a long time.
Wait a minute. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's been 17 years since I left there. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Yeah, oh, my God.
Imagine everything that's happened in the last 17 years.
That's a lifetime.
Yeah, and work. Yeah.
Wow, it goes fast. I just found out my fine wife's been lying about me for 20 years. I just, at the time, realized, has it been that long? Golly.
Was she lying to you or lying about you?
She was lying to me for 30 years and lying about me for 20. So that was, but again, that's good because that way I can kind of put like an index on it. Yeah.
She's consistent.
Consistency is wonderful. Remember the girl Mel Harris from 30-something?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the dark hair, attractive. She was, I don't want to say, not manly, but she was a handsome woman, I would say. This very attractive, handsome woman. Mel Harris is 30. It says here 39. That can't be right.
No.
No. I'm sorry. 67. She was from 30-something. I was 67 today. There you go. And 1870 on this day, ahead of his time, William W. Lyman got a patent for the first rotary can opener with a cutting wheel. The same thing I use today from 1870.
You bought yours in 1870?
I could have. The can opener with a wheel, a cutting wheel. When you squeeze it, the wheel goes. That's what we've been using since 1870. You'd think
we had one of those.
I mean, of course, they have electric can openers, but still, the can opener's basically been the same thing for 150 years, which to me is amazing for some reason. Anyway. Pete Davis, President Crime Family, the President White Trash has now talked about joining NATO with Ukraine as an alliance. Apparently, he was afraid to upset. I guarantee when he said, "Well, we're not really, NATO's not ready really for Ukraine yet." But it will be when it gets a little more democratization and so forth.
Oh, he said an hour and 20 minutes after the war ends, they'll join.
Yeah.
Because if they join now, that idiot from South Carolina, what's his name? The little light loafers dude. The Republican. Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham, yeah.
Lindsey Graham wanted to put him in now. Yeah. Okay, that's called World War III, you idiot.
Yeah, going against Russia because that was the whole point of the thing. Of Russia didn't want Ukraine to be part of NATO, and they were. I mean, this is why this is why they did it. The block was in so that nobody would keep having Ukraine be part of NATO. And again, if Donald Trump had been president, the war never would have happened because Russia would have been told, knock it off, nobody's going to bother you, nobody's bothering Ukraine, leave it alone, we're trying to go about our business here, and just mind your own freaking business, there's not an issue, nothing to worry about, and if you do come in, we're going to kill you. And I guarantee you, Putin would have had no inclination whatsoever to invade Ukraine if Donald Trump were president.
Well, The thing is, the Russians consider what's going on an existential threat to their very being. So at some point, they would have invaded Ukraine, but they probably would have waited until after he was out of office.
Yeah, again, whether there's an ongoing future link with China and Taiwan, whether this all could happen at the same time. I mean, what if they say, okay, we're ready, in 2 years we'll be ready to have a pincer movement where we surround basically half the globe between China and Russia and just start taking territory like the Nazis did in the 30s.
Who's going to do that?
China and Russia.
Russia doesn't have the troops or the people to do that.
But
they've had like 8 million fighting men, and they've already used 1 million of them. They can barely beat Ukraine. They're not circling anybody.
Well, all I'm saying is with their link with China, it just makes me nervous. Again, I don't know. I
think China's distancing themselves from them.
I
think China is going out for their satellite. China wants to pick apart the former Soviet Union. They want to weaken Russia because they're neighbors. They want to weaken Russia as their neighbor.
Well, or suck them in and then take them over when they least
China's got their own problem. China's the same problem that Russia has. Their demographics are going down. They're dying more than they're birthing.
Yeah. And now, what about their economy? I don't think we know everything about how they're collapsing, but they can't keep up this way, can they?
No, they don't know because they quit counting. It's the same thing with COVID. They quit counting and holding any kind of enumeration of what's going on over there. They literally miscounted by 100 million people. I mean, we knew they were going down demographically. We didn't know they were going down that fast. Xi has become a cult of personality, so everybody has to go through him. So nothing is getting done because he can't micromanage everything at the same time. Everybody's pulled out of China except Apple. Apple seems to be stuck there right now. Everybody's going further to other Southeastern Asian countries. China is on the verge of demographic collapse in the next 10 to 20 years.
And where's our money for Ukraine, by the way? Speaking of the Ukraine and the Russia thing, where's our money? Where did it go?
Yeah, nobody's counting what's going on with the money. You know where it went? It went offshore bank accounts to both Republican and Democratic politicians who are sending it over there in the greatest money laundering scheme in history.
I'm not in any doubt at all. Talk about a conspiracy theory that I would not doubt whatsoever. 441. Have you heard about Aretha Franklin and her will and the fight over it with her family? Here we go. In fact, I'm just thinking. I have a living will, and I have a will to make very clear what happens to my stuff, and the kids are going to have to fight over it. So I won't be there, so I don't care. But it's not going to be a thing. But when Aretha Franklin died, a Michigan jury now has decided on which of the wills that were found was the real one. Here's what happened. The Michigan jury has decided that a handwritten will of Aretha Franklin found sandwiched between couch cushions is the real one. She had left 2 wills scrawled in notebooks and on pieces of paper found inside her home in Detroit after her death from pancreatic cancer at the age of 76 in 2018, Aretha Franklin. She had $80 million in her estate. The kids started figuring, no, wait a minute, I don't think she should get some, I want some. It was a brief trial that started and ended with a jury decision yesterday, deliberating less than an hour. It shows the will written in 2014 and found in her couch cushions. It names her niece and son as co-executors and states that Key Calf and his children, her only grandchildren, will get his mother's home in Michigan. It was valued over $1 million. The other will, which is not found to be the one that counts, was found inside a cabinet in her home, and it lists one of her other sons and other niece as co-executors. So she obviously changed her mind, and a will that prevailed in court does not mention the requirements of getting a business degree, which she had for the earlier will. Anyway, the kids are saying, I'm very, very happy. Wanted my mother's wishes to be adhered to. We want to exhale right now. It's been a long 5 years, my family and my children. Family members believe she had not left a will to dictate how the estate would be managed. Her kids expected her assets to be divided evenly. In Michigan law, if an individual dies without a will, intestate they call it, or without a spouse, then it gets divided evenly. Mm-hmm. But her home found 2 wills, and so the kids started fighting over who's supposed to be in charge of it, and they made that decision. So now they decide who pays the bills, who pays tax debts, income through royalties, and other kind of things. So at least they know who's supposed to do it now. But again, here we go with it. I mean, and again, I think I have everything spelled out I have a living will. I also have I mean, that means if I'm, in a coma, they can pull the plug. My kids can decide to pull the plug and leave it up to them.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, they will. And also where my money is, well, such as where my money used to be.
It's all tied up in cash.
It's all, in coins. Yeah, I have all my money tied up in coins. Those little jars I got around the house. I must have 7 or 8 of those. I'll bet I got almost $190 in money just in coins alone.
You're
people.
that guy who goes in the Piggly Wiggly into the coin machine.
That's right, baby. So, girls, a couple $100 is not a lot of money to me, just in case you're interested, quarter. I'm going to get a bunch of hot babes up at Top Golf tomorrow. I know that. 4:45 here with a Kimmer, Pete, David, and Not Davis on 106.3 right here. Oh, look out. Here we go. 447. How's it going? It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. 106.3 with Pete Davis, sidekick producer and sports raconteur extraordinaire. The Mechanical Angler Flounders, porcelain bowling it here for the next day or so. Or at least another several hours after some unfortunate edibles overnight. But David's filling in on the board for us with our great appreciation, and Non-Davis is in the back there having fun as well. So here we go. 27 years ago, in 1996, Congress passed the Defense of Marriage Act, which all the Democrats believed in, including President White Trash and Barack Hussein Puttitat. They all believed in the Defense of Marriage Act, passed in Congress 1996, which defined marriage as a union of one man and one woman, no matter what your state says. One man and one woman, according to Congress in 1996. Gee, whatever happened to that? Something of a change. Birthday quick note here. Topher Grace is 45 years old. He's Eric on that 70s show, and Venom in Spider-Man 3.
He was the first Venom, not the one now.
I haven't...
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy, that's right. Was he the one... Who was the one... No, that wasn't Tom Hardy, with all the, octopus arms.
That's Doc Ock.
Yeah, it's Dr. Octopus, played by the great Alfred Molina.
That's the guy, Molina.
Exactly.
He's a creepy actor, but he's really good at it, you know. Anyway, 404-741-1230, 1230 if you'd like to join us. A couple things here. Oh, a salute to, it's a kind of a sad story, and if you missed it, a sort of an update and a very sad story concerning a hero named Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe, 18-year-old Georgia college student, was with his girlfriend and family and friends on Myrtle Beach, and his girlfriend's sister was caught in a riptide. The 14-year-old sister was caught in a riptide, so Daniel Rowe went in to save her. There was a whole group of one tried to save her. We're all caught in a riptide. The group was on the verge of physical exhaustion by the time lifeguards got there and rescued all of them. Paramedics arrived. They were able to revive Daniel Rowe, the 18-year-old Georgia college student. But then he died from his injuries later. His death ruled an accidental drowning. He and the group caught a rip current. He was at least the fifth person from Georgia to die in rip currents this year. Several tried to help other people and died as a result of it. The family saying everyone else is okay, but he died a hero. It's been so difficult, a lot of very, very rough days. God is definitely a God, and there's a good God. We'll never understand why, but we're just so thankful that we had 18 years with him, said his cousin. He was described as a compassionate, caring person who's always willing to help and look out for others. Daniel Rowe, 18-year-old college student, and was with his family and died trying to save the 14-year-old daughter, girlfriend's sister, by the way. Just what a shame. A couple other things in the news here. By the way, this was bizarre. We have so much milk in America these days that farmers in the upper Midwest are pouring it down the drain. Unlike other supermarket staples that can halt a factory line when the market shifts, you can just make more of it, cows can't turn off their udders. So they're always going to make milk. And because it's highly perishable and it requires expensive transportation, farmers don't have the wherewithal to store all that milk or to set it up with their processing plants themselves. So if they keep pumping the milk out of their cows, they got to put it somewhere. And when they run out of room, they throw it in the garbage. They literally put it in the drain. Difficult decision to dump it, but they say they don't have any choice, and they're dumping it more than ever. The wastewater treatment system's been handling increased volumes of milk throughout the entire Midwest, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Can they bring some to my house? Because I just took mine out this morning to make cereal, and it was
Well, that's the other
bad.
thing. Do you know how many people in America, 34 million people, are what they call food insecure? And could could really use a couple of gallons of milk extra hanging around anyway.
Maybe they shouldn't burn down the grocery stores in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, there you go. And by the way, now speaking of the changes in the times, can you believe now in San Francisco, even though people are moving out because of the crime and the businesses are fleeing and everything else, even so, still today, a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco averages one-bedroom apartment almost $4,000 a month.
Damn.
When I was there in 1981, I lived in Tiburon, which was across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. So I drive the bridge every day, twice a day. Tiburon was it's a really yuppie place it's a really yuppie place. And I rented a one-bedroom apartment, and this was again 40 years ago more. And I can't remember. It was about twice what I'd been paying anywhere else. And the San Francisco even then was so expensive, and the prices raised so much that the camera guys I was working with had bought their homes 10 years earlier. Let's say I was working with one guy in particular was 45.
I was working with one guy in particular.
Let's say it doesn't mean let's say it together, Mister. Anyway, so for example. And he had his house for like 10 years, and I think he paid $35,000-$40,000 for it at that time, and that we were doing stories on. And he said his house for example, is worth now about $250,000. And so these guys who are making not making a lot of money as kind of workforce type people are now have property that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the problem is if they sell it and go to try to buy somewhere else. They're going to cost them $400,000 to get the same house they had. I mean, the prices were out. Nobody could afford to buy in San Francisco because it was outrageous. And for the record, their Community Development Department of Housing in California says a single person making $104,000 a year, not a family, a single person making $104,000 a year in San Francisco is now officially classified low income. $65,000 for one person is very low income. Moderate income is $150,000. Los Angeles, a low income, $70,000. One bedroom apartment in L.A., $3,600.
We're homeless.
Oh my God! Yeah, I owe money.
Yeah, we owe money, David. When we come in every day.
Oh my God!
Hey, you know what? You could get a 3 or 4 bedroom flat in London around Paddington for less than what you're paying for that 1 bedroom in San Francisco.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. By the way, I there's an update. I mentioned the other day, for some reason, there's A&E has got 2 TV series going now. Excuse me. One of them is another series on the Playboy Mansion and the whole issue of Playboy demeaning to women and forcing them into things, stuff like that. The first part of that I'd seen several months ago. It played. Well, they've got part 2 now is a bunch of series on the Playboy Mansion issues, and of course the Hugh Hefner's family saying we have nothing to do with it. We got rid of it. It's not ours, and don't blame me.
We know nothing.
Anyway, nothing. I have Sergeant Schultz. But the other series they're doing now is Miss America and the scandal behind the Miss America pageant. And I watched the first series last night. There's another one coming up next week. It's on A&E. And it was basically, I told you to give you an update. It was about how the guy named Jeff, who was the CEO, was such a power broker that he slut-shamed the girls behind their back. He fat-shamed them behind their backs. If they had boyfriends, he would try to break them up. They were not allowed to have jobs. They were not allowed to do anything. For the record, when Miss America, back when this guy Jeff was doing it, every hour of every day, 365 days of your reign, every hour is blocked out. When you sleep, when you eat, who's handling you to go to a professional interview, when you get dressed, when you get up in the morning, every hour is blocked out with your handlers, and they do not want you to have a boyfriend, and you're never supposed to even mention that you have a boyfriend or that you've ever had a boyfriend, because it looks bad for Miss America. And it was, they blackballed the girls. There was one girl named Mallory, Miss America 2013. I just love her. She looked sweet and natural, and I loved everything about her. And this guy Jeff, the CEO, ruined her. And they also interviewed her boyfriend. He broke up with her. She broke up with him because he was involved in the middle of it, and now he feels so bad because he helped this guy get away with it for so many years. I mean, it really is a horrible thing.
Cry me a river. Come on. They knew what they were doing when they signed up for it. They knew what the other girls went through, and they wanted to do it anyway. Please.
Well, I'm not sure they signed up for a guy ruining their possible careers.
They're trying to attack an American icon, Miss America.
No, please.
And drag it down.
Well, it used to be an American icon. Every family in America watched Miss America.
All I know at Ole Miss, we redshirt Miss Americas. So.
You redshirt them? Until they grow a little?
Well, we won 2 in a row. Marianne Mobley and the girl before after, we won 2 in a row.
That's right, I remember Marianne Mobley. A nice mouth. Rather nice.
Oh, really? That's what you remember?
Well, no, I don't. I didn't remember it. I was just kind of thinking about it. By the way, as you know, I'm a Dear Abby fan. We'll do actual news at 5 o'clock coming up here in a couple of minutes. And holy crap, it's sports. And we'll hear some more of the testimony at the federal Gestapo investigation. And Atlanta's liar-in-chief, the head of the FGI, Chrissy the Cossack Ray, I think is a former secret stooge hitman for the oligarchy
Allegedly.
Russian mob. So never convicted. Dear Abby, my husband texted a graphic nude photo of himself to his ex-girlfriend. I'm shocked and hurt. Should I leave this man? Can't unsee it in West Virginia. Dear Cantillon C, yes. Yes, I think you should leave him. He's not finished with his former girlfriend. Duh. I mean, how many? I don't know. Modern chicks, I guess, or just don't see the forest for the trees or something. I don't know. Well, I was just as bad when I was cheated on for years. That's all.
Allegedly.
Right. Allegedly. No, this was not the former. This was the other one, and that was not allegedly at all. Anyway, all right, look out. It's only the Kimmer and Pete and no Flounder and no Davis, but David is here, and we got the full show coming up. Coming up on 5 o'clock here. Again, the number, if you want to call, 404-741-1230. Holy crap, it's sports coming up, and some more goofy stuff, and the latest on that meeting with the liars at the FGI. Standing by, too. It's almost 5 o'clock. Look out. Let's get it together, ladies. Left shoulder, right a blank. Ready on your dog. Target. Road guards out. Look out. It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. It's true with Pete Davis, sidekick producer and sports raconteur extraordinaire. The mechanical mangler at the controls flounders, controlling the porcelain bowl today of a little tummy mush up. But we have David from 680 The Fan with our great appreciation, doing a remarkable job filling in for a show which he's never quite had the likes of over in a sports station for a while. And Non Davis in the back there, too. A couple of phone calls. We get to Porter and is that Steve? Well, the second one always says Steve, and maybe an actual another name on there, but we'll find out. Hold on, we'll get your calls in a second. Coming up, Holy Crap at Sports with Pete Davis. Also, you're going to hear from Vice President Sidepiece, the shiftless, lazy Vice President of America's favorite escort. And we'll also talk more about the disgrace of Atlanta, Chrissy Ray, the head of the Federal Gestapo of Investigation, the FGI, and denying that he's been in charge of the most despicable, most distressing and really awful, un-American, despicable failure of a federal agency that I personally, and I'll bet most of you, have thought of as the most prestigious and remarkable law enforcement agency in the world. And it's just been nothing but a disgrace for the last 6 years, and we can prove it, and he's still denying it and still lying under oath. The smarmy, freaking pretentious, just the look on his face, wanted to smack it over the next week. Anyway, we'll get you miss out about that, too. Okay, anyway, let's get a couple of phone calls. What do you think? Here's Porter's on the horn. Hello, Porter. How's it going?
Well, I agree with your opinion of Christopher Ray. I mean, he's a disgrace.
Yeah.
But I'm calling in about the question about what's an ET, where they come from.
Yeah.
Possibly extra dimensionals. If you get yourself a Bible, it talks about extra dimensionals in that book. So
but again,
demons.
Is that is that how you would define them though, Porter? I wouldn't define them as what we think of as UFO creatures, or do you? I don't know. I don't know an answer.
They're now calling them UAPs, which is
aerial phenomenon. Yeah.
Actually, they just changed it to anomalous phenomenon.
Oh God! Bullshit! I'm just going to call them UFOs.
Didn't George Carlin do a stand-up special about something like this?
Yeah.
Did the same thing about PTSD.
I think.
Well, I'm not
called
sure.
shell shock.
Changed it.
Now it's operational fatigue.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Porter. I don't know what to tell you. Thank you, though. We'll check it out. I guess I'll go read.
By the way, Pete, evolution is delusion. That didn't happen.
Well, okie dokie.
Okay.
All right. Well, no. Now, again, thank you so much. That's fine. I don't have a problem with saying that if God is a creator, I don't have an issue if you believe that God is a creator who also started the process of growing from cells into the humans as part of the thing. It doesn't mean that you don't have to believe that he made Adam and Eve with a rib and the whole deal, but it doesn't mean that therefore he had nothing to do with all the animals and the flowers and the trees who had to start from something. So why can't you say, well, he made Adam and Eve, but he also made everything else?
I like the person that says, if we came from chimpanzees, why are there still chimpanzees? That's just apes or whatever. But
I don't know. I mean,
and by the way, props to David there, who actually saw the George Carlin talk about the shell shock thing. That's a great. We should do that one day and show how it from World War I it was shell shock, and now it's become a very flowery language, so you don't really look at it too hard.
Yeah.
PTSD and Operation Fatigue, but it was shell shock. You knew exactly what it meant in World War I.
Well, remember in the movie Patton, when he kicked the ass of Tim Considine and said, he said,
"You're nothing but a belly."
I can't take it anymore. The bombs and the noise and I can't take it anymore. He was shell shocked. He was shell shocked. There's no such thing as But again, you tried to make it a thing. Now everything's got to be a category.
Like now, there's what they're trying to call women. Birthing person.
Birthing person. Or have you heard, and again, this is a little crude, and I heard it several days ago, and I didn't mention it. I haven't brought it up, but they were talking about it today earlier on the show, so since it's been on the radio, I'll mention it too. Do you know they have another phrase for a woman's vagina?
What?
Yeah.
I can think of plenty of them, but I don't think we can say them on air.
Be careful.
No, it's actually a thing. They're calling it like an extra hole.
Oh, I did see that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, literally out loud. They're saying it out loud. Girls are saying these things out loud as this is what they're now calling nature's window.
Oh, well, there was a tranny activist that went on internet yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and said that he is looking forward to get a uterus transplant so he can get pregnant and then have an abortion.
What kind of sick people think this way? That's what I want to know.
They've always been around, but they're always hiding under rocks somewhere. Now there's social media. We have to look at them all the time. They're freaks.
And they're ugly, so it's not easy to look at them.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's just driving me nuts. But again,
What?
you know.
You're what?
Well, no, thank you. That's the wrong way to put it. And speaking of wokeness and stuff, Pete Davis, you had an example of a story from, I think it's the New York Post, which will not be covered concerning a doctor and a crime and how this is not going to be covered the way the media should be covering it.
The New York Post, it's their head story. It's also the Daily Mail of London that, in fact, there was a guy, and he was a black man, who stalked hospital staff for a week, basically making threats and stuff like that. And I think walked in there yesterday and killed a 40-something-year-old doctor, father of 2 children, a nice family and everything, who happened to be white. And I'm thinking, you know, yeah, the New York Post has it and the Daily Mail has it, but are you going to see it anywhere? Where are the national uproars? How come we're not burning down our own ghettos over this?
Yeah. Well, again, that's our local news media. It happened the way they're covering it today in the media. The meeting with Christopher Wray, the disgrace of Atlanta, the federal Gestapo investigation director, was being grilled before Congress, and they kept asking him questions. He kept denying everything. He says, "Oh no, we're not. There's no bias in the FBI. What are you talking about?"
Nothing to see here. Keep moving.
We'll play a soundbite here in a second from the hearing today. But he actually had the balls to say that what they did with Donald Trump to get his documents at Mar-a-Lago was not a raid. No, that wasn't a raid. Really? Well, let's see the difference between when you got the documents out of President Crime Family's white trash's Corvette in the garage. I didn't see a bunch of people in boats and helicopters and SWAT teams, 24 guys in freaking bulletproof vests with automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons showing up in the middle of the night before dawn, swarming the place with dozens of armed agents. I didn't see you doing that with his freaking garage. And he says, "Oh, no, well, that wasn't a raid." What do you mean it wasn't a raid? Well, you needed 24 people to go get documents? You could have knocked on the door.
Yeah, they're changing the meaning of words. They think we're idiots.
It's on, David, if you don't mind, let's play the quick soundbite of Ray today. Well, he's being questioned by Getz and a couple of other congressmen, too, trying to nail him, and he just kept trying to deny everything.
But I have other questions. I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction.
That's Matt Gaetz.
I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
you won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you.
Well, whistleblowers have said federal prosecutors blocked lines of questioning related to Joe Crime Family. They had the laptop in their possession of Hunter in 2019, knew that it was credible, and still let the liars go on with the 51 guys who signed the document, lying and obfuscating and hiding evidence, cheating federal courts. I mean, one thing after another. And we got more coming up. But first, Holy Crap at Sports is next at 5:13. Standing by with the Kimmer Pete, no Flounder, David, and no David standing by here. We got the next look at. Look out. Yes, it's true. 5:17. We had the All-Star game. We got stuff going on with UGA and the Al Jazeera constipation. And we also have the podcast man. Holy crap, it's sports with Pete Davis.
Got a little breaking news here this afternoon. Larry Nasser was stabbed by the other inmate because the disgraced molester doctor said, I'd like to watch those women play at Wimbledon on the old TV.
Oh, my God. The sexual pervert said that in front of another con?
Yeah, and he stabbed him.
Again, I think this is great. I think we should, kill him a little bit at a time. You don't want to cut his head off. He's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. So you stab him a little bit. You send him to the hospital. You get him back, and then you stab him a little bit more when he comes back. I mean, you don't want to do it all at once. A guy like that, you don't kill all at once.
No, he's a special kind of doctor. You don't kill him all at once. No. A little stabby around him, but no, you don't kill him.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's Christopher Eubanks' magical run at Wimbledon ends in a 5-set loss to Russian Daniil Medvedev.
That's too bad.
So it goes to that, but pretty good run there.
Georgia Tech star, yeah, absolutely.
That's right. At one point in the National League's 3-2 win over the American League last night in Seattle, the entire infield except for pitcher and catcher was made up of Atlanta Braves. Revel in that, kids. You won't see that again maybe in your lifetime. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I remember back to the 70s where the Dodgers had Ron Cey and Dave Lopes and Bill Russell and Steve Garvey and probably Steve Yeager. And that's the only thing. And maybe the Reds, at one point they had a few guys up there, Tony Perez and Dave Concepcion.
Yeah, Big Red Machine,
and, Joe Morgan and the Pete Rose sometimes at third base. I mean, Johnny Bench catching. Those are the teams that I think of when I think of what the Braves are doing right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can keep it up. The NL finally snapped the AL's 9-year stranglehold on the All-Star game, and they were helped by 3 strong defensive plays by the Bravos. But when you think about it, it was actually 5 because Sean Murphy in the first inning threw out that Rosarina from Tampa Bay, a perfect throw.
Oh, really?
Right. All the guy had to do was catch it. I think was it Arce who caught it and just touched his head because the ball was right there at his head.
Perfect.
It was perfect. Yeah. Austin Riley made 2 great plays at third. His throw bounced over there, and Matt Olson dug it up twice. So those are 2 good plays on both ends of that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you said that I know Riley got a hit.
He got a hit, drove in a run. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll take your word for it then. Elias Diaz, and I got to admit, I never heard of this guy, from the Rockies, hit the go-ahead home run in the 8th. And he's the 32-year-old, made his first All-Star game a memorable one. So, and he cried afterwards when they were interviewing him. He's talking about his mother helping him out through all the years that he struggled and everything. Wow. And finally made the All-Star game, and he started crying on the field. It was very, very, very touching. Was he the MVP? Was he the one holding the silver bat or with the glass bat or whatever? Yeah, excellent. Well, good for him. Good for him. I'd bump at that to change him forever. Cool. And, of course, everyone, and I mean everyone, is complaining about the boring uniforms that teams are made to wear.
I wrote it down. The first thing I wrote down, I said, they look like exercise outfits. It was a disgrace.
It's like Hillary Clinton gave them the wardrobe from her.
God.
It was horrible.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, the material was wrong. That's not the kind of material. It was that kind of plasticky looking stuff that kind of clings to you. The moisture wicking, clingy stuff. I couldn't believe it. And the pant. Nobody's wearing socks anymore. What the hell? I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it.
No, sir, I don't like it.
I'm not changing.
They're off now until Friday, the Braves are, when the White Sox come to Truist Park. And I ask you, sir.
Yes.
Is there any more uninteresting franchise in Major League Baseball than the Chicago White Sox?
I have to agree.
Detroit Tigers?
Think about it.
Forever.
No. The Detroit Tigers have a glorious history of World Series
Anderson.
and Ty Cobb and all kinds, Sparky Anderson, all kinds. Think about the White Sox.
What's that, David?
Shoeless Joe.
That's right. 1919, one of the worst episodes in Major League history is what they're most known for.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about here, the Black Sox. They were mildly entertaining during the winning ugly days of the 80s. The Rolling Stones wrote a song about that.
Denny McClain, I mean, back when he was making 30 wins.
No, that was the Tigers. That was
Detroit. I thought you were talking about Detroit.
No, we're talking about the White Sox. Focus.
Oh, of course.
And then there's the Chuck Tanner, Dick Allen days of the White Sox.
That's right.
But outside of the 1959 Go-Go Sox of the 2005 World Series winning team, it's hard to remember another Pale Sox team of note. They're always overshadowed by the Cubs and their own city. Just my opinion. We welcome yours.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think anyone's ever. I mean, I remember I even lived in Chicago for a few years, and no one cared about the South Siders.
Even the A's have a better history. Yeah. Even the A's, and they've been in 4 cities now. They're about to be in the 4th city. By the way, the starting pitching will be Charlie Morton, Spencer Strider, and Kobe Allard against the Pale Sox. So that's what's coming up.
Oh, okay. By the way, you mentioned Sparky Anderson. I have a baseball signed by George Anderson.
That's right.
Because he never signed his name Sparky. His name is George, and that's how he wrote his name when he signed things. And I have somewhere in my belongings as a baseball. I think I have Pete Rose on it, too, and
I congratulate you, sir, because you managed to turn that White Sox story around to you twice.
That's my job.
In 1 minute. That's amazing.
Well, I've been doing this a long time.
That's for sure. Brett sent me this nugget of joy. Someone once quoted the Bible verse John 3:16 to Ricky Henderson, the greatest base stealer of all time, who always talked about himself in the third person, said, quote, Ricky don't want to hear about John hitting 3:16. Ricky's hitting 330, end quote. 1992 on this day, Jeff Blauser became the 4th shortstop ever to hit 3 home runs in a game as the Braves beat up the Cubs 7-4. I remember that game.
Yep, and I have that famous picture of Jeff Blauser at.
Oh my God! Here we go. It has nothing to do with this story.
And while the press box was on fire, yes, it does. Anyway.
Atlanta 316 says we just whooped your ass.
Yes, sir. The Yankees are breaking a century-old tradition by putting blue patches on their uniform sleeves that read Star Insurance.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Yeah, well, everybody's doing it. They should also get rid of the no facial hair policy, too, while they're at it. They're going to do this. Yeah. Georgia head coach Kirby Smart is taking aim at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and if he's right, it could spell the doom of the dying newspaper. Misleading and irresponsible is how Smart described the AJC's reporting on the drunken driving and speeding problems the program has suffered. The University of Georgia Athletic Association sent a 9-page letter to the AJC demanding a retraction of the story, saying it was replete with errors, unsubstantiated allegations, innuendo, and possibly even fabrications.
Yep.
And Smart says, all I ask is avoiding twisting the facts and sensationalizing serious issues. We want to get the facts correct and accurate. That's all we ask.
Well, for example, they make a case of one kid named Anderson who was considered a potential first-round pick in the draft. Police investigating a rape allegation, and Georgia officials said they didn't know about it, but Kirby Smart says once he heard about it, he suspended him. He kicked him off the team. He says, how is that contorted to be supportive of bad behavior? I mean, just one after another where they say, no, wait a minute, you're not really giving the whole story here. Which is really, and again, we're talking about University of Georgia and the only newspaper a major newspaper in the South, which is now used to be 2 and now is only 1, a despicable example of it. But still, I mean, this is, what are they're asking for it. I don't know what they're trying to do, but this is going on now for several weeks where they're really, really taking serious aim at UGA football.
The Northwestern story keeps getting uglier as the school has informed former head coach Pat Fitzgerald that he was fired for cause. Therefore, meaning they don't have to pay him the remaining millions of his contract. Yep. His lawyer is already disputing this. Northwestern refuses to release the full report from their investigation, which makes some think they're hiding some really bad and embarrassing facts. Get your popcorn ready, as Lane Kiffin likes to say.
Well, if they're gonna do that, then they better be prepared to take it all the way. And if I were that guy, that coach's lawyer, that's exactly. And I'll bet you there is some dirt that they do not want uncovered. And I wonder whether somebody on the board of directors or the leadership of the entire university is saying, "Hey, boys, we may not want to go all the way." If you don't
the president, that's what she said too. She may not want to go all the way.
No.
Remember those John Gruden emails?
Well, you're going all the way, baby. What are you, Australian?
Remember those John Gruden emails that got the coach fired from his position with the Raiders?
Yeah.
ESPN has been investigating how those emails got leaked, and the report says that 4 NFL team owners believe that Commissioner Roger Goodell leaked them himself.
I believe it. That's what Gruden said from the beginning. Gruden. That's a Gruden.
Gruden.
Yeah, I believe it.
By the way, there's also Dan Snyder, the former Redskins owner, supposedly. He may have leaked them as well, or both of them at the same time.
Well, gee. Well, he's out now, though, too. But he just wants to take attention on somebody else, I guess.
He's about $6 billion richer. But
I was going to say, he just made like $4 billion. Oh, my God. But, I mean, what a story. Here's a guy who was a slime bag, apparently, for years, apparently. And then he said, well, we're going to fire you. You can't own the team anymore. You're out. You're done. Here's $4 million cash.
$4 billion.
Billion, sorry.
$4 million. He spits on the $4 million.
Lordy. I love it.
And Bills quarterback Josh Allen is dating a Hollywood actress, rather hot right now.
Really?
Haley Steinfeld.
Oh, my God, that little girl who used to do all the little girls' movies?
Power couple.
She was in True Grit, the remake.
Yeah.
She's a very good actress. She's Hawkeye, the new Hawkeye in the Marvel Universe and all that. She does very well at what she does.
Was that the Glenn Campbell one, or was that the other? That was the older True Grit.
True Grit, the one with Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, yeah, it was a Rooster McCogburn or somebody.
Yeah, and it was Matt Damon, and it was great for the first half, and then it was like the second half they got bored with it and didn't know how to finish it.
Yeah. I love it.
The first True Grit was better, even though the first half of the Bridges one was very good.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Pete Davis. By the way, were you done? I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yes, sir. I am finished.
Okay. Well, I got a message here from Flounder, who sent it from a fellow the Flounder sent us a message from Robbie on Facebook. The other day we were talking about something you came across on social media, which said a guy suggested that when your pet dies. I'm sorry, when you die and your pet's still alive, have somebody bring your pet to look at your dead body so the pet can get used to you no longer being there. And the pet can understand death and wouldn't think that you somehow just deserted him. In other words, if you disappear, you die, and they take your body away, your pet's going to say, you deserted me, where'd you go? If he can see your dead body, they can acknowledge it and accept it and move on. Well, coming up, a story that we'll see whether that's going to be true and how I'm going to react to it shortly.
It'll make you cry.
Probably will. 5:29, and that's next with the Kipper Pete, not Davis and David on 106.3. Here we go. Look out, it's only me, it's only the Kimmer. How's it going? It's a 5:33 with Pete Davis, and the Flounder Man is not feeling too well today. He's been up all night hugging the porcelain bowl. I think little Miss Veronica slipped him a Mickey or something for dinner last night, but he'll be back tomorrow. But our great appreciation for David from 680, the fan, filling in for the control action today. And Not Davis is back to you. Thank you, boys. Very grateful to have you aboard. Birthday quickly, Brock Lesnar, the WWE guy. I think he might be retired now, 46.
You said it wrong. It's a Brock Lesnar.
Well, now you've probably violated some copyright and they're going to sue you. Who's that guy who says
Paul
you can't
Heyman.
say?
It's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
The guy says, let's get ready to you know what.
Yeah, Ron. But why, now how the hell can he put a trademark on the word? I mean, that's bull crap. Let's get ready to scumble.
Also, Brock Lesnar not retired, still going strong.
Really? Wow, 46.
Oh yeah, he's still out there. He'll be back probably within a few months.
Really?
They bring him in for all the major events.
Outstanding.
Well, he's on Raw next week.
Oh, really? Is that right? On Raw next week? Really? In fact, I was reading that he tried to be a professional football player and made it to training camp, and they cut him.
Yeah, the Vikings let him go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, other than mispronouncing his name and getting the story details wrong, you nailed that.
I had the whole story there for myself.
Nailed it.
On this day in 1982, I almost bought one of these. In the late 70s, I was looking for a car, and I was working, and so I thought this would be kind of fun. In 1982, those huge, square, distinctive checker cabs rolled off the assembly line for the last time in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I damn near bought one. And they were supposed to be great cars. I mean, they're big and clunky, but they were supposed to be really great cars because they're cabs. They last forever, and you can't hurt them, and they're just tanks. Yeah. Yeah, a checkered cab. I damn near bought one. I literally came within like a day or two of getting one.
The cool thing in London, they still have those old-time cabbies. They've had for 50 years. The problem is, if you've never been in one, you get in the back seat, and you go to sit down, you end up on your butt because the seat is way back in the back.
You disappear, yeah. Outstanding. Oh, mercy. 536 here with the Kimmer, Pete, and David, and Non-Davis. Senator Tommy Tuberville has now had to change his mind after being swarmed by reporters. Tommy Tuberville, who's now blocking the military appointments in Congress because he doesn't like the fact that DOJ is allowing, the Department of the DOD, Department of the Department of...
Oh, God, start again.
Tommy Tuberville is putting a hold on military promotions and advancements because he does not like the fact that our military is paying any kind of federal tax money for women to get abortions in other states if they're in the military. The military will help pay for that woman to travel to another state to get an abortion. Tommy Tuberville says that's wrong, so he's putting a block on any senator can put a block on things like this, and he's done it, and now they're trying to convince him to take it off because there's the head of the Army also, the big guy at the Army and the Commandant of the Marines are not being able to be sworn in. Well, now Tuberville is being criticized because he has refused to say that white nationalists are racist. Well, now he's acknowledged, okay, a reporter's got him again. He says, okay, white nationalists are racists. He used to insist it was a matter of opinion, which echoed his comments from an interview the day before when he was asked about the opportunity to clarify remarks when he appeared to be advocating for white nationalists to go ahead and serve in the military. Now, here's the problem. This all started because your new modern military was monitoring what kind of magazines enlistees were reading. So if they were reading like Soldier of Fortune, then they were being labeled as white supremacists and kicked out of the military. I mean, give me a break. I want guys who like guns being in the military. Are you kidding me?
There's a difference between a white nationalist, a white person that believes in their country and nations, and a white supremacist who believes white people are superior. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, this is nonsense. But again, now they've had to make him make a commitment the same way that when Donald Trump said, well, there are good people on both sides. He wasn't talking about good Nazis. He was talking about people debating whether we should tear down statues. He didn't say they were good Nazis, but that's the way they labeled it, and that's where we're going. I mean, this is what they do. All right, one more thing before I forget here, and I hope I can do this appropriately. We got a message here Flounder sent me a message from a fellow named Robbie. And the other day, Pete, we were talking about, right before the break, reminding ourselves that you were mentioning on social media, you heard a guy was saying that when he dies, he has heard that his friends say, or somebody said, you should have your pet come and look at your dead body so that the pet knows you're dead. Otherwise, the fear is that your pet is going to think you abandoned him. You suddenly disappeared. And there's some thought to this about how, again, we mentioned elephants are very commonly seen mourning the loss of one of the members of their pack, or a baby elephant, for example. I'm sorry?
A herd.
Yeah, there you go, elephant herd. And there are other animals about this. And, well, here's an experience of a fellow who wrote in on Facebook, or sent a message to Flounder on Facebook, and it says this. Robbie, I had a mare and a gelding in the same pasture for years. The mare died, and a few days later, I tried to move the gelding to another pasture. He refused to load on the trailer. He broke away from me. He ran to the edge of the pasture behind the house and whinnied. Then he went to the front of the house and whinnied across the fence. He looked at me, dropped his head, walked onto the trailer as I stood and watched with tears in my eyes. And I believe it. I know these things are true. It happened with my horse, Jack the Good Boy. Which just briefly mentioned the last time we talked about this, but it's every Saturday morning I wake up and weeping because he knew I was coming to the stable. I came at the same time every day, and the day on that Saturday morning, as I was coming to the stable, he laid down and crossed the Rainbow Bridge, knowing that I would be there, and he was saving me the heartbreak of being there when he crossed the Rainbow Bridge. He did it. He did it for me. I know that's true.
Now, Flounder, you sadistic bastard.
Well,
you
Pete,
sent that on purpose.
You're going to have to talk for a minute because I can't.
I mean, well, you know, I lost Bear 5 years ago, and I still miss that dog, and I haven't been able to have a dog since because of the places I've been living. And I tell you, okay, here's a nice story to make you smile.
Yes.
I got out this morning. I heard the two Great Pyrenees that guard the valley, and I heard them barking outside. They're down by the creek. And I came outside. It was about 8 o'clock this morning. I'm lying. It was more like 9.
It was 9:30 or 10. You don't get up at 8.
So they, I whistled at them, and they both turn and look, and they come bounding up the hill. Oh, come on. So I walked to the bottom of the stairs. I came up. I gave them a big hug and petted them. I mean, they'll kill a bear, but they are the most lovable dogs. I petted them, and I gave them both their giant milk bones. And you know what they did?
What?
They turned around, and they started sauntering away, and the girl turned around and looked at me and said, "It's okay, you can follow your brother." And then she turned around with still carrying it in her mouth, like, "We'll eat this later," and off they jaunted up the road back to their home.
I tell you, there's magic in those furry creatures. There is magic in those furry creatures. And I think, you know, as I'm understanding more about it because I had an experience that I never thought I would have. Yeah. Anyway, so animals, God love them. And I go to I can't go during the week now, but I still go to the stable every Saturday and Sunday and take videos, put them on Facebook and Rumble and stuff like that. And it's good for me and have fun. And you know, and I learn things about animals and behavior, and it makes me a better person. The way animals deal with each other. If they have a problem, they have a thing, and it's over. They don't call their mommy or sue anybody. You know.
If I had a bad day and I came home and I was just sitting there in the chair having just a bad day, sad or mad or whatever, Bear would, every once in a while, not all the time, he would come up and literally crawl his 70 pounds up into my lap and just put his head up against my head.
Yeah. Again, they know. 5:42, almost 5:43. Let's call it here with Kimmer Pete and no Flounder, but he'll be back tomorrow after a little tummy thing going on there. And speaking of tummy things, President White Trash refused to go to the NATO dinner last night overseas. This is the third time now he's skipped dinners in the evening because he's just he can't stay awake. And I guess they haven't pumped him full of enough drug. By the way, whatever happened to we saw all the videos of those needle marks in the back of his hand? Mm-hmm. How come nobody ever explained those? Remember that, like, for several days they were showing picture close-ups of obvious needle marks from IVs. in his back of his hand where they go. We've all had those, or most a lot of people have, and never an explanation. Anyway, we don't know whether he wanted to catch a rerun of Judge Wapner or missed his Jello or something for the night. But this has happened time and time again because the staff said, well, he's had 4 full days of working.
Yeah, come on.
His 4 full days are Tuesday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3. He literally works. Remember, they showed his schedule. He works from 10 in the morning until around 2:30, and then he makes phone calls and just goes away.
Yeah. By the way, we got breaking news here about Biden.
Yeah.
From The Onion, in a surprise move with the potential to upend the 24 presidential race, Joe Biden refused to rule out a third-party run. It's clear that the politics in Washington are broken, which is why I can't exclude the possibility of a third-party run, said Biden, explaining that in a functioning democracy, voters should expect more than the typical binary choice that the major parties feed them from smoke-filled back rooms at national conventions. To those who say that I'd be tipping the election in favor of Trump, I say it's important that everyday Americans be given a choice. And between me and the guy in office right now, I think that choice is obvious. He's starting the Malarkey Party.
Malarkey Party.
It issued a scathing 30-second spot railing against the sitting president and calling for a bold new candidate to shake up the status quo.
We need change. I love it. It's 5:45 coming up. Vice President Shiftless and Lazy, the official American side piece, and her latest word salad. Next with the Kimmer Pete, no flounder, Davis and David, not Davis, standing by. And your calls, an actual phone call next with the Kimmer Show. Look out, here we go. 5:49. Good to have you aboard on 106.3. The extra hat the app with a Kimmer and Pete, and no Flounder today. Be back tomorrow, though. Thank you, David O, for filling in for our friends at 680, and Not Davis is back there, too. We have a actual phone call. Outstanding. Shall we see? This is Glenn is on the horn. Hello, Glenn. How's it going?
Yeah, hey, doing great. Great to hear you back on the radio.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I just had a thought. You know, you were talking about horses and dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
And how they know when people die. Well, I've got Snorky the guinea pig here that doesn't give a crap if I die.
Well, how do you know until it's too late?
He'll nibble on you.
Tears forming up when I talk to him about it.
There you go. Well, listen, Glenn, thanks for calling, man. You have a great day, and good luck with your guinea pig. Again, I'm sorry?
I said I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Sorry, we have a little thing there. Thank you so much. I know there are places in homes where you go to, what do they call them?
Hospice?
Yeah, hospice. And there are I've seen the video. There's a cat at one particular one that climbs into the bed of the person who's going to die the next day. I mean, it never fails. They can tell something about the lack of breathing. I don't know what it is. A chemical I don't know.
The cat is there to steal your soul as it leaves your body.
Suck the very lifeblood out of your eyeballs or something.
It's a soul collecting cat is what it is.
Let's see. On this day, 1967, police in Newark, New Jersey, arrest a black cab driver, and they start to beat him up. And that's when the summer riots begin. 1967, at least 24 people were killed, more than 1,000 wounded, and 1,100 or 1,300 people were arrested. The summer of violence in Newark, New Jersey, because a black cab driver got beat up. He wasn't killed; he was beat up. But man, all hell broke loose after that. On this day in 1969, the Beatles released the Ballad of John and Yoko. It only hit number 8 on the singles chart, but because it was banned on many radio stations because of a certain lyric. The Beatles' Ballad of John and Yoko had a lyric that said, excuse me for saying it, but here is the lyric, quote, "Christ, you know it ain't easy." Now, why did they do that? I remember you can hear the song,
he's doing it to...
What?
It's a great song, but it does make me cringe when I hear it.
It's just not right. It comes out. It's just comes out of nowhere. It's distracting. Anyway, 1976, the original great song. 76, the original Family Feud premiered. Our little late friend Kara was on that with her family many years ago. Beautiful little, we miss her. Anyway, all right, it's only me, it's only Kimmer. David, if you would, let's have fun with Vice President Shiftless and Lazy. She's come out with 3 new word salads in the last few days. Let's play the latest 2. First of all, when she's talking about Transportation Secretary Mayor Petey Fudgy Fudge, and she has this a beautiful word salad for us here today.
And I again want to thank the Secretary for your work. This issue of transportation is fundamentally about just making sure that people have the ability to get where they need to go.
Permission to quote our great senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy. You're giving us word salad and we ain't got no dressing.
By the way, I love that guy. He could have a book.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah,
he gives the greatest one-liners I've ever heard.
He is, and he's a real down-home, old country philosopher kind of guy. He reminds me when Sam Irvin was running the Watergate. I'm just an old country lawyer. And Kennedy's the same way. He's really clever, and his style is perfect. He's just everything about him.
He's just like kicking your butt, but is very polite about it. Yeah, that's the way he's doing, I guess.
He's very, very clever. If you don't know who it is, you got to Google him because if you ever see him on TV interviewed, listen to him because he's very, very clever. Anyway, here's another. Again, our Vice President's side piece, Shiftless and Lazy VP, was also put in charge of the border. Never did anything about it. Didn't know anything about it. Pretended she wanted to get the root causes, which are people looking for better life. That's your root cause. But now they put her in charge of artificial intelligence and the program of how the federal government can monitor the safety and the future of what might happen being out of control of artificial intelligence. And here is our leader of the artificial intelligence program for America, our Vice President Shiftless.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
You know, it reminds. Remember when she was asked for the people in our audience, could you please describe the issue of why we're concerned about Russia and the issue of Ukraine and other countries in the geographical area? And she said, if we could, we can't easily find that soundbite because Flounder's not here, so the whole system's a little different. But
hey.
do you think you can? I didn't want to ask you, but remember her when she was talking about Russia, and she actually said, as though she was talking to a room full of first graders, and she said, "Well, Russia is a big country, and Russia wants to take over smaller countries." And they don't want to be taken over, but Russia, being a big country, wants to dominate the other country. And I'm going, oh my God! I mean, it's like she's lecturing kindergarten kids. What's the damnedest? I mean, it was like she doesn't. I mean, how could her staff let her keep going out in public? I mean, seriously.
Don't you just feel dumber when you listen to her talk?
Oh
I mean, like, you feel the brain cells oozing out of your damn ears.
I feel like clamping my molars onto the business end of a Smith & Wesson.
But again, if she's going to be on the ticket, you know that the GOP is just going to have every commercial saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States, if you vote Democrat," and have all her sound bites. And just all her ridiculous. Oh, I love a yellow school. Don't you love yellow school buses? Oh, I love Venn graphs. Oh, the Venn graphs with the angles and the line. And I'm going, oh my God! And then she does that cackling laugh, like it's just totally unprepared. Can you imagine her? Have you ever thought of a vice president in the light where you would never in a million years want this vice president to actually take over? Have you ever thought about this vice president the way you have thought about any vice president ever? Even Dan Quayle, who was something of an airhead golfer in chief, but still, I would trust him a lot more with having to fill in other than this creature. I mean, talk about incompetent.
She's like a stalk of celery, about 5 foot tall, with the brains of a radish.
Well, I didn't know you could make that commitment.
Oh, radishes are much more intelligent.
Well, I used to grow radishes, and so we had a radish patch as a little boy. My parents had us made.
I knew it. You turned it around.
I turned it around to the camera. We had to have a garden. Each of our kids were responsible for taking care of a small patch of a garden in our backyard. And I grew radishes. My sister grew leeks, little teeny onions, and I think my older brother Gene grew carrots, I think. And we had a little 4-foot square pad. We were responsible for it, watering and weeding and getting the rocks out of all that stuff, and to teach us responsibility and growth.
So I think I might have found that Kamala Harris cut about Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, play it.
Was it the one where she's saying Ukraine is next to a country called Russia? I think I got it here.
Oh my God.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Oh my God! But here's the worst part of it. The question that was asked of her by the panelists or whatever was, Madam Vice President, could you, in a nutshell, describe why we are concerned about the Ukraine and Russia war? Why are we concerned about? How would you explain what's going on between Ukraine and Russia? Describing the conflict, the world conflict, the international view of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And she says, well, Russia's a big country. Oh my God, that's how she describes the issue of international politics of Ukraine and Russia? We're doomed. Anyway, David, thank you so much. And non-Davis, too. Thanks, you guys. Flounder, feel better. Pete Davis, hoorah. See you at Top Golf tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 6. Guys, I appreciate you being here so much. Hoorah, I got to go. You're killing me. And if I can hold on a second, I got 1 second here. Well, almost. I got 8 seconds left. I got 9 seconds. I got 12 seconds. I got all the time in the world left, and I'm going to do this whether you like it or not. Here we go. Okay, Dale. I gotta go. You're killing me. Look out. Again, thank you, boys. The crickets are here. And Mama, pack me a bowl. I'm on the way home. Oh, that's right. I don't have a mama anymore. What? God bless America. Hoorah. I gotta go. You're killing me. Herp, herp, and a herp. Look out.